Hello gamers, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Emulator. It's your host, Dylan. In today's video review, we're going to be checking out how I set up my Trimui Smart Pro and Trimui Brick using Portmaster on multiple devices and multiple firmware. I'm going to walk you through the firmware I tried, which is about 5 of them here, and how well they worked, and which setups actually worked best on each of these devices. I'm going to actually show you some initial startup gameplay for a small list of games I've been testing. Nothing too complicated, just some real world stuff that matters when you're actually trying to play games. So grab your handheld, follow along. You might find a tweak or two that gives you smoother gameplay or just makes your device run a bit nicer as we go beyond the emulator. And hey, if you're into these handheld videos, feel free to drop a like and maybe subscribe. I do appreciate it. Alright, without waiting, let's jump in. So quickly before we jump into each of these devices with some different firmware, alphabetically what I've done is I've actually have Crossmix 1.3.0, I have Knulli Gladiator 2, I have Nextui on the brick, I have MuOS or Mustard OS and as well as the Spruce OS. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and actually look at ports running on these 3 devices with 5 different firmwares. So let me get started. So here we are with the Trimui brick. We'll just hit this one first. I've already got the firmware installed. I've been using it on the brick with Nextui firmware. The most recent, I believe, is 6.7.3. And what we're going to do is I've already updated ports recently when I was playing with it last night. So if I go over to my ports, basically I have a small list of games that I've actually was able to get working. One of them I was trying to poke around with that had images, so I need to remove that off of there. But if we just kind of go down the list from Portmaster, you've got your Apotris. So I'm going to go ahead and press A to boot it up. Simple game. Boots right up. We can go right to a game. It is on a smaller screen, so sorry if the visual looks, but everything works just fine with this. And go ahead and just get a quick example of the game. See if we can get one line down. There we go. Boom. And then to get out of this game, you go ahead and press menu and start. And that'll pull you out of it. Another popular game that's out there is Gladiator. That does work on the Trimui brick using Nextui firmware. There we go. Now for this, you're going to have some files you're going to need to locate from your original game to be able to add. You're going to have to go into Portmaster and actually it'll show you what is required. You'll download the game through Portmaster, and then you'll have to add some files onto your SD card to get it to function. But as far as it loading, it goes right to the game. It's a little bit hard to see on here because of the resolution, but it's functioning just fine if that's a game that you like to play. We'll go ahead and get out of that one. We'll drop down to Celeste. That one as well, you would download the program off of Portmaster, and you're going to have to add some additional files from your original game that you have. There's a little bit of a delay before it boots up. Don't feel that the game has gone bad. There we go. As you can see, let's bring ourselves down here a little bit. But it boots up right to the game. Not too bad on this screen. That works. We'll go ahead and get out of that. Pac-Man, simple game that's on Portmaster. It's ready to play. Just another version of Pac-Man. Oh, that one failed. We'll have to see what's going on with that. Interesting. We'll go with Power Putt Legend. That one seemed to be failing. Well, I've got one last one on the brick right now that I know that should be working is Undertale. Again, downloading the program from Portmaster and as well as adding your files from your original game onto the SD card will allow this to work. And there's Undertale. So started right up. B is basically your enter. And there we go. Oh, we took too much candy. So again, Undertale works. We'll go ahead and get out of that. And that shows off just a quick example of the Trimui brick using the Nextui firmware for ports. Let's move on to another device. Nothing to be alphabetical here. These are just what my device has already had. So we'll go on to one of, this is the only one I had on the brick. So next we're going to go on to using the Knulli. So here we are running with Knulli Gladiator 2, and we're in ports as well. These are the games that I've downloaded, and actually the ones with stars are actually, they've got a bigger list of games that actually work really well. What we're going to do is do a rundown alphabetical with the ones that are starred that I know that actually work here. So again, Apatris. Loads right to the game. Another example, very simple game. We'll go ahead and get out of this. This game here, Astroludi, it works, but the joystick is a little bit janky, so I've kind of passed on that. Beletro, here we're going to go on a bigger screen on the TSP. I'm going to get a better image because you have a larger screen, as you can compare. We'll boot up the brick back again. Much easier to see, to be able to play the game. Much easier to see. So that just gives you an example of that. We'll go ahead and get out of that. Going around. Celeste. Same game we were just on the brick. And again, there's a little bit of a delay on the boot up, so that's why the screen goes blank. Much better image. Feel like the brick struggles a little bit on their image quality. See, if you see the two differences here with the boot up even. Goes right to the game. All right, Madeline. You work on Knulli Gladiator 2 with Portmaster. We're going to go down. Moonlight New does not seem to be functioning with Knulli Gladiator. I'm not able to connect to my Sunshine. Open RA, that does work. So I'm going to show you what that example is. That one as well, you're going to require some files that need to be added. Again, go onto Portmaster. All the details are there. There is a program when it loads up, it wants to download. I have not gotten past that yet, but I do know that I've done it once before, but the game does work. You're going to use your right joystick to actually use as a mouse. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, it's the left. And what you're able to do is you're able to go here. Should be able to go single player. There we go. Boots right up. We could start a game. Usually there's a download file. I seem to be, might have been a different menu. But again, you have to use your mouse.
Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting.
Not really sure how we're going to use the mouse and the keypad for this, so there is a little bit more develop and testing that I need to do, but I've gotten the game this far. Let's get out of that one. Seemed to have frozen up for a second here.
Reporting. Waiting order.
See if there's a way to get out of here.
Acknowledged.
We can go up to the gear here. And there's a way to save it, it looks like. But we are going to abort mission. We're going to leave, so
Control terminated.
does not seem to lock out. 1 second. Start and select actually was able to close out the game. We're going to go down to Pac-Man. This is a ready to play. There we go. Simple as that. Jump right into a game. Maybe if you're on the road and you have a few minutes just to play a game, Portmaster is a great place to find some quick 5 or 10 minute games that you want to get yourself into. We'll go ahead and get out of that. We know that works. We've got also on the Knulli Gladiator 2 Pinball Crush. That seems to be working. There's quite a few games on Knulli Gladiator 2 and Portmaster combination that seem to be working rather well. Seems to be like a homebrew game. If you're into a simple pinball game and dating, I guess. There we go. So this Pinball Crush works. We'll go ahead and get out of that. We'll run down to the next one. Portmaster we don't know. Power Putt Legend. One we were trying on with Nextui on the brick. It loads right up. Kind of like a miniature golf. So that one works as well. RGSX, that's actually a ROM downloader. I've done a previous video showing that off, just kind of showing it through Portmaster. You have to add your files and folders. This is a place that you can actually locate some ROMs for some platforms that you have on your device, as well as the BIOS. Let's get out of that. We're into more gaming. So let's go down. Elder Scrolls. That works on Knulli Gladiator too, through Portmaster. Again, downloading the game and adding your files from your original game added to it will get it to work. Couple things on that actually is, it's actually at the beginning of the game looking for a name. There is a way with the combination keys to put 3 letters to get yourself to proceed, but if not, a USB keyboard is easy to just plug in and actually type in a few characters and be able to proceed. We might have to do that. You're using your left analog as your joystick to get in through this. So let's see where we're at here. We're going to go to new game. It's going to be loading. Let's see if we can find a keyboard that we can plug in. We'll go to the opening screen.
Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
This will prompt you where it's asking for a name. There is a way without a keyboard to get a character on the name and be able to bypass this. I'm not able to have my USB adapter to add my keyboard at the moment, but I have gotten past this part and Elder Scrolls works. Getting out of the game, that seems to always be a challenge. It seems to lock up with a certain combination. Start and select. That's going to kick it out. We're going to go down to one last one, Undertale, which we also had shown off on the brick. And there it goes, booting right up. And if you want to compare the image real quick to Undertale on the brick, you'll see your images here. So we go to Undertale, begin our game. Let's put a quick name in there. And there we go. All right, Pops. And there's Undertale. So wanted to give you that example as well. So Knulli Gladiator 2 has quite a few games. What we've got is we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. So let's move on to my next device. We're going to be using Spruce OS. We'll get that going. Spruce OS just released their newest version 4.0.0, I believe, and it's available for the TSP and the S model, the newer version, as well as it's able to cross over, which I have some videos showing showcasing it off for some of the games and how it's set up. It actually works the same SD card between the brick and the TSP. But we've got it on the TSP right now. So ports, it's still a little bit in its infancy. So really quick, only out of the games that I've listed, here I've only been able to get 3 or 4 games going right now, or getting Portmaster apps going. So for Apotris, I've gotten that to work.
Ready.
Works as well, super simple. So Spruce OS, super loud. And Celeste, which is the only other game right now that I've been able to get working. Again, their version just came out recently, so I've done some recent testing on it. Haven't spent a lot of time. There we go. Instead of a blank screen, it actually just booted right up to the main title screen. Volume seems to be an issue because we turned it super loud for the previous game. Didn't really turn it down, and this one's very quiet. And it boots right up. So those, unfortunately, are the only couple games that I have right now with Spruce OS. I'm still working on that. Now we will going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and get out of this particular device. Go to my settings. We're going to turn this off. And we're going to go ahead and put Mustard OS into it. So I've got an SD card with Mustard OS already installed with ports as well. So we're going to go ahead and take my card out of here. Go ahead and put it with my Spruce stack. We're going to go ahead and put MuOS in. Going to go ahead and boot this up. There's Mustard OS. Okay, we've got Mustard OS. And we're going to go ahead and explore ports. So I'm going to go ahead and get to ports, go down to ports, and I've actually got a very nice list of games that actually work really well. Again, we're going to go alphabetical. So if we go to Apostris, not too bad on the volume, booted up, not too loud. Ready, game, go. Just going to kind of do a quick review of just showing the games that work here, what starts up and what boots. Belatro. Boots up rather well. And goes right to the game. And these all work. We'll go ahead and get out of that. We'll go back to old Celeste. It does go to the black screen again for the boot. And there it goes, getting that opening screen. And again, you need to have all the required files to make this work. So it boots right up. We're going to go ahead and get out of that. There is a few other games that I've got listed as well that I've got working on here. So we'll just run through them as well. These again are on MuOS, Mustard OS software, firmware. These were just not added to the other one. I got Dokimon Quest. Seems to be a fighting game. Does have a little bit of a delay, doesn't it? There we go. Seems like the volume, without me having to do anything, has been nice. I've already got a game started. So, Dokimon Quest. Does seem to be working well. We've got Free Gem As. That one seems to boot up right away. That is a plug and play, ready to play port on Portmaster. We got Morrowind, again, Elder Scrolls. This actually boots up. Boots up actually rather quickly. Going to use our joystick to do that.
Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
And it does go up to the opening screen. Perfect. And then we've got also Pac-Man, you've seen. Pinball Crush, you've seen. Stardew Valley, I am not able to get it to work with my files for some reason. I'm still working on that. Undertale, again, that one boots right up. These are popular games that people play. And it goes right to the game. We've also got V-Drift, a little racing game that works rather well. And some of these games that I actually tested did crash on the other devices, so I was actually trying to limit my library on each of the firmwares to show the games that actually are working. There's a few that actually were not working. We can pick a track. And there we go, loading it up. I think they're trying to do like 3D graphics here. It's a little bit slow, but it does work. This is a plug and play game, ready to port. So there's no files required. You could download this game and run it. And there we go. Kind of a casual just driving game. So that's going to show off what I have for ports with Mustard OS. So we're going to go ahead and put this one to the side. We're going to grab the other TSP. We're going to go ahead and turn this off. And we're going to put Crossmix in this. And what we're going to do here, while that one's booting off, we're going to go ahead and take shut down. And we're going to take Mustard OS out of this device. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to take The Nextui that's running on the Trimui brick, we're going to shut that down. Okay, and for the brick, we're actually able to put this in the TSP, the same firmware. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and boot that up. While that's booting up, we'll go ahead and take Knulli out of here, and we're going to go ahead and pop in Crossmix. As you can see, we'll get Crossmix booted. Whoop, we popped the card away. Oh, hold on. Sorry, folks. All right, gonna go ahead and boot this up. This should be Crossmix. So it's loading into another program right now. We'll let that do its program. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's boot up this TSP with my boot logo that's a little off. We're also going to take Spruce and we're going to insert this into the brick. So now, while we're trying to deal with the Crossmix issue, now I have Nextui running on my TSP. I can go to ports, I can go to Beyondtro, Crossmix finally made it alive over here. We'll come to that in a second. But there you go. Now we're using the Nextui firmware on the TSP through ports. Just to give you that example, is Nextui is swappable as far as their SD card can be used in a TSP or a brick. So I have that choice. We didn't really have a lot of games going that we did an example, but again, here's Celeste. And then we'll put that to the side. This allows you to see the bigger image using the Nextui firmware. And there you go. So we'll put that to the side. And yes, we have Crossmix. So we've got Crossmix 1.3.0. The only update that I had actually did this was on the PSP, but we're not really focused on that. We're actually going over to ports. So ports actually has a pretty extensive list that actually has games that are working. I want to say anything that has a star right now I've actually tested. We can actually go with Beyondtro and see if that functions right away. Does not. But I do know what does work. There's been some pinball games. Let's see about Undertale. No, for some reason my files don't seem to be working correctly. And we've seen enough of Apatris today. I don't want to keep on repeating those games. So Crossmix is still in development. Same with Spruce OS. So we're going to bounce out of this really quick. But what I did do is I actually put here Spruce OS on my Trimui brick. And to wrap this up, we'll have one last image of Celeste. If we can get this to work. I'm guessing it's not going to function, so sorry folks. Not able to provide you a few extra Portmaster games or images of Celeste or Apatris. So again, I hope this helps you out with some of these devices and the different games that are available with firmware that are out there. Again, I was using Crossmix, which we ran into some issues, and I'll have to work on that. We've had Knulli Gladiator 2, Nextui as well, Mustard OS, and Spruce OS. And again, it gives you some of the examples of what the ports are able to offer on these devices. Again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.